that every single one of us possesses some kind of superpower. Mine is listening. I love talking to people. I listen to them in cafes, when my date is late. I talk to them during long train rides. I love talking to taxi drivers. Love taxi drivers. And can you imagine what makes listening so enjoyable for me? Well, I'm an author, and authors are obsessed with ideas. And once you learn to listen, really listen, you realize that everybody has at least one great idea in them. For some, it's an idea for a book or a movie. Others have ideas that are more practical, ideas about how to make traffic safer for people riding their bikes in the city, ideas about what to do with that one building down the block that has been vacant for years, ideas how to reform schools, help children learn better, whatever. But the thing is, most of the people I've spoken to never act on their ideas. That started to bother me. The challenges we as a species are facing right now are huge. It should be all hands on deck, right? Meanwhile, a lot of creative thinkers are actively withholding their contributions. And don't get me wrong, having an idea is great. I already confessed I love ideas. But an idea in and of itself, once you really think about it, is nothing. It's just a thought running through your head. What really matters is that we act on our ideas. But some of us, maybe most of us, find that really hard. And I started to wonder at some point, why is this? And most importantly, what's the difference between people who consistently act on their ideas and all the others? Well, this isn't about the quality of ideas. This isn't about talent. I soon understood that much. It isn't about opportunity either, not in those early stages. And if you're thinking right now, I bet it was courage. No, this isn't about courage. So what is it? I started to investigate, and I realized there is only one difference between those who act and those who never act on their ideas. It's about how they perceive themselves. People who are able to see themselves as artists, as creators, as innovators, no matter their background, level of education, or day job, they will go for their ideas, they will run with them. Everybody else will not. Everybody else will simply assume that they're not the kind of person to write a book, paint a painting, utter a new thought, or organize an amazing TEDx event. Everybody else will say things like, me? I'm not creative at all. I'll let you in on a secret. We are all creative, one way or another. You don't need to study creativity. You don't need an academic education. You don't need an education at all. We all have the capacity to problem solve. And we're all coming up with fresh ideas all the time. Still, I can't tell you how often I heard that sentence. I'm not creative at all. Isn't that strange? We value creativity, right? It's nothing to be ashamed of. We idolize famous creatives. How come then that our own creativity makes us so uncomfortable at times? Why does this sometimes even embarrass us? Well, I have a hunch. And I think this has to do with how we think about creatives. When we think about people who made a difference with their creativity, with what they brought into the world, we think about the greats, right? The true geniuses. Do me a favor, just for a moment, close your eyes and contemplate for a second who comes to mind when you hear the word genius or the term creative genius? Who comes to mind when you hear the words creative genius? Okay, open your eyes again. If you are anything like me or the people I tried this out with before my talk, chances are you thought of someone who is male, white, and has been dead for quite some time. Maybe you thought of Albert Einstein. Maybe you thought of Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Pablo Picasso, William Shakespeare, Goethe, Edison, Tesla, maybe Steve Jobs, maybe Elon Musk. Who thought of themselves? Yeah, me neither. You know, promptly associating creativity with creative genius is really dangerous. Why? Well, for once, many of us are simply unable to see themselves in people who, in our culture, are recognized as geniuses. I can't see myself in them. And for a long time, I was super uncomfortable referring to myself as novelist, probably because I was so well aware that what people think of when they hear the word novelist is nothing like me. Secondly, thinking about creative genius too much can be disheartening. We'll never be as great as them, so why bother in the first place, right? And thirdly, well, if the only people we think are truly creative are geniuses, we ourselves are out. Who would like to call themselves a genius? That would be awkward, right? So instead of being uncomfortable, we deny our creativity. And that's a problem. Can you imagine how many innovations, inventions we absolutely need right now never come to fruition simply because the people who would be able to come up with them are unable to see themselves as creators? Let me tell you a story to illustrate my point. You will like this story, it's very glamorous. It's a story of one very important tech innovation that we all rely on nowadays. And it's the story of one of the most unlikely innovators I could find in literature. The protagonist of the story is a young woman named Hedwig Eva Maria Kiesler. Hedwig was a movie star during the golden era of Hollywood, and she operated under a screen name, Hedy Lamarr. Some of you know where this is going. Hedy was everything a movie star in the 30s and 40s was supposed to be. Beautiful, glamorous, with an aura of mystique. But Hedy's ambitions went so much further. When she had the time, during filming, during breaks, she would go off to a little movie star trailer and she would devote herself to a favorite hobby, which was inventing. She was smart, and she had an equally smart friend, a composer, a musician, named George Antile. Hedy and George got together to invent something that was supposed to help the Navy win World War II. And let's collectively take a second to really appreciate that. Someone only known for being pretty, getting together with a musician to bring along the newest tech innovation. Imagine Kim Kardashian teaming up with Hans Zimmer to bring us the newest development in tech. Even though we know that exactly this happened with Hedy Lamarr and George Antile, it's still hard to imagine, right? And that's a pity. The US military wasn't able to take Hedy seriously. And the press very much preferred writing about her love life, not her inventions. People were simply unable to see Hedy as the gifted inventor she was. But she, and that's the point, she was able to see herself that way. And I'm glad she was. Do you know what one of the things is that she helped lay the groundwork for, that we all use nowadays and I'm addicted to? It's secure Wi-Fi. Yeah, so thanks Heidi, I guess. So maybe some of you are thinking right now, okay, Heidi Lamar, Wi-Fi, I get it, but I'm no inventor. Maybe you are an artist who has never expressed their ideas, and maybe you think this is no big deal. Well, authors like me, we get a lot of email. Some of it is very friendly, some of it is decidedly unfriendly, and some of it is very personal. And I recall a young reader once writing to me saying she didn't have a lot of friends, but she felt completely understood by the characters in a novel of mine, and that made all the difference. And by no means am I telling you this to impress you, but to impress upon you that art influences people in ways we sometimes can't imagine. And we know that, right? We know art touches people, changes them at times, but that email moved me because, see, I'm no creative genius. I'm just this person who likes to sleep 9 hours per night and dance and lip sync to Lady Gaga, and who never takes care of her tax returns in time, but who also sometimes, just sometimes, has an idea and acts on it. That's it. And it doesn't matter what your idea is about. If it's for a piece of art, if it's for a product, if it's something else altogether. If you have a good idea, it has the capacity to change things. So, by all means, we should start tapping into this hidden potential. And the thing is, how do we do that? How do we get better at this? Here's 3 things we might want to do or stop doing. Number 1, let's all never say the sentence, I'm not creative at all, ever again. If you say that sentence, somewhere in the world, a puppy dies, okay? Let's not do that. Don't do that. That's number 1, that's easy. Number 2, and that's the most important thing, let's normalize creativity. We don't need to be geniuses to create something of meaning. Creativity isn't special. Creativity is wonderfully ordinary. And number 3, it's about representation. We need to get the thought out of our heads that creatives, innovators need to look or be a certain way to be taken seriously, to be the real deal. We do that by including everyone. So, maybe while I was talking, you thought of an idea you once had and neglected. Or maybe you will come up with something in the future, a day or a year from now. Maybe you'll have an idea for a piece of art, something small. Maybe you have an idea about how to fight systemic racism. Maybe you'll have an idea about how to engage even more people in the fight against climate change. Whatever it is, act on your idea. Try it out. If it doesn't work, improve it. If that doesn't work, try something else. And if you don't know what to do with your idea, get help. If you don't have the knowledge, the resources, find someone to help you with that. Team up, share your idea. Nobody said you have to do this by yourself. Okay, one last thing. If you have been listening, thinking this doesn't concern you, if you are thinking, I don't know what this lady's talking about, but I never had an idea, and I certainly will never have one, that's completely fine. There is still something very meaningful you can create that we all desperately need. If you don't have an idea, you can create a safe and kind environment for others to share theirs. Thank you.